But the sector has come under the scrutiny of President-elect Donald Trump. Yesterday, he targeted General Motors in a tweet. And separately, Ford turned around and announced that it will cancel plans to build a plant in Mexico, a $1.6 billion plant, marking another victory for Trump. Ford CEO Mark Fields explaining that decision to Neil Cavuto yesterday.
Well, we're doing this decision based on what's right for our business. As we think about the investments here in Michigan, as you can imagine, Neil, we look at a lot of factors as we make those. One of the factors that we're looking at is a more positive U.S. manufacturing business environment under President-elect Trump and some of the pro-growth policies that he said he's going to pursue.
By the way, did you talk to him about
this is a vote of confidence.
Mark Fields did go on to say that Ford would have made the decision even if Trump didn't win the election. What do you make of this? Again, it's still auto companies going great guns, a little bit of weakness in the last year, some concerns about the subprime loans, but you still have a president-elect who is going to be hard on these automakers, and broadly speaking, it could make it tougher for them to operate the way they do now.
Yeah, the auto sector has been heavily politicized, even if we go back to when the GM bailout happened, right? And so presidents have used the auto sector to get votes, especially in those states that are swing states. So that's the unfortunate part about the auto sector. But what we really need to take a step back and look at is that not all manufacturing should be here. And GM hit back on President-elect Trump about that. They said, listen, we made a cheaper car, the Versa, a lower-end model, so people could afford it, right? Not everybody can afford Yukons and big Suburbans, and that's actually where a lot of the buying is happening. So we're talking about 17.5 million units. People are starting to buy higher margin products, and those are the products that want to be produced here in the U.S. So that's what Ford's doing. They're producing the higher end models here in the United States that produce more margin. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, because Donald Trump right now, going back to tweets, trying to influence business decisions. The private sector should be doing that in a free market.
These are smaller decisions compared to the overall job market in this country. Some of the carrier decision about jobs, this Ford decision, but they're still big wins for Donald Trump. And does it speak to a better business climate potentially?
They are really big wins for Donald Trump, and people are diminishing that. But what's happening right now is that the Americans are seeing each one of these one by one, and they're getting more and more optimistic that Donald Trump is going to do what everybody said could not be done, which is bringing manufacturing jobs back to the United States. A lot of people are saying, poo-pooing what he's done and said it's only 5,000 jobs, it's only this, it's not really Donald Trump that's done this, and yet one after another carrier, Ford, these announcements are happening.
I don't think it's people bringing back manufacturing jobs. I think it's just having manufacturing jobs not leave, and there's a difference between those.
But what he was tweeting yesterday about General Motors, he threw out the idea of a border tax, which he's talked about before, on products made overseas. But that potentially, if you get real with that, that's going to make products that Americans buy more expensive, and that might have an altogether different reaction from the American people.
Right, and so the U.S. trade representative that he named yesterday, worked in the Reagan administration. I think that the president-elect and his team understand this, but I would imagine that when they're looking to renegotiate NAFTA, I don't think they're looking to get rid of it, but when they're looking to renegotiate these terms, they're probably saying that we want to have the best negotiating position, the best leverage available when we come to the table. So I think the auto manufacturers are in an interesting spot because they had so many regulations, especially mileage and gasoline, from the Obama administration foisted on them. So on one hand, they're thrilled to not have these overly burdensome regulations from Trump, but at the same time, they need to understand from a corporate perspective what NAFTA is going to look like, so they know by what rules of the game they're going to play.
Complicated supply chains. I want to